What is going on, legends? Welcome to Beyond the Tape podcast, a podcast where we chat to people doing rad things in the mountain bike industry in Australia and a bit overseas as well. This podcast, we are chatting with Simon French, the brains trust behind Maydena Bike Park, and a bunch of work going on in Australia when it comes to consulting and getting events up and running. He's just doing a lot. Obviously, this is coming out on the announcement that Hardline is coming to Australia, so we thought we'd better do a potty about it. So we talk about the Hardline Festival, what he's kind of bringing down for that, what's going on with that. We talk about the MTB Forum, and we just talk about a bunch of other things that are happening in Maydena. Before we jump into this episode, let me thank my sponsors. We've got Trek Bikes, absolutely loving the Fuel EX bike that does everything for anyone, anywhere. Love it. The Franked Mountain Bike Apparel crew from WA have just sent me over some fresh kit. Got something special coming in the works. Can't wait for that. Their kit is amazing. Use Beyond the Tape 10 for a bit of a discount over there if you want to grab some fresh kit. Shred Bike Care, keeping my bike clean. Absolutely love the stuff. The waterless wash. Spray it on. Give it a little bit of polish. Good to go. Easy in this dusty summer weather. The Breezer gloves from Fist Handwear are keeping my hands gripped to the bars while keeping my hands cool. While we're talking about Tasmania, it'd be rude not to talk about tailored trails. Super keen to head down there and check out some of the best trails in Tassie with the guys. They're absolute legends, take care of everything. So all I got to do is rock up and, ride my bike. Lead Out Sports are taking care of me in the toolbox world because they offer some of the best tools from Abby and Pedro's and a bunch of other smaller companies. So make sure you head up leadoutsports.com and check out everything I just missed. Dirt Surfer Australia, keeping the mud out of my eyes. Gapped out caps for making my head stem look absolutely beautiful. Every time I look down there, it reminds me of Baxter Mayworld. That came out weird. Anyway, if you want a custom cap, hit those guys up. And Oakley, Australia, are keeping the old peepers nice and safe. Anyway, that's enough plugging. Grab a beer, grab water, grab a wine, grab whatever makes you happy and enjoy this potty with Simon French. Sick. Let's jump in then. Well, Frenchie, Simon French, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming back on.
No worries, mate. Anytime.
We're just chatting then, but you've been pretty hectic the last few months.
Yeah, I like to keep busy. So, there's been a bit on through Europe. Did a trip to Canada like we always do for Whistler. And then, back home, Queensland, and then off to NZ for a couple of meetings and things next week. So there's always something on.
Is that just through the bike park, or is that through your consulting company, or you just go on?
It's a bit of everything. Yeah, I mean, it's riding bikes at the end of the day, right? But no, we're a couple of different companies. So we do the trail building side of things through Dirt Art, and then we've got a separate company now, Elevation Parks, where we do a lot of consulting work for commercial bike parks, ski resorts and things. So we've sort of separated out that part of the business because it's got a whole bunch busier over the last little while. And then we're kind of looking at a bunch of events and things with Elevation and trying to support a series across Oz and New Zealand if we can to try and make life a bit better for Australia's up-and-coming World Cup races, try and get some proper UCI points and things down in the Southern Hemisphere, and then sort of chatting to a few New Zealand people around a World Cup for 2025, just trying to look at getting the season kicked off across New Zealand and Australia if we can.
That's wild. Yeah. Because looking at the latest schedule for the World Cup and the EDR, it's, the IXS Cup, right?
It sucks, yeah. No, and look, to be fair, I think there's good rationale behind it in terms of where the industry's at. It kind of sucks if you're down in Australia and North America now too. But look, we're certainly working pretty hard to try and change that for 2025. I know there's a bunch of folks in New Zealand that have got big plans for a World Cup over there. I think it's very hard for New Zealand or Australia to host two World Cups. It's just hard with budgeting, particularly for New Zealand with a single government. So I think if we could work towards trying to get World Cup enduro downhill and, whatever happens with cross country, but our focus being more gravity, if we can start the season with enduro and a downhill round, one each in Oz and New Zealand, then that'd be epic. And it allows the Warner Brothers crew to stretch the series a little bit further back without pushing into the crappy weather over in the Northern Hemisphere.
Well, surely they saw the massive success that was the EWS round at Maydena this year.
Yeah, look, that's one of the reasons I was over in Europe. So we caught up with Chris Ball and that crew just as a bit of a debrief for Maydena, and the feedback we got from those guys was just across the board amazing. So that was great for us. There wasn't really anything negative from anyone other than let's just get some more accommodation in Maydena, which is something that we're definitely working on. But that was cool for us, and I guess really just affirming with those guys that we really want to be there as part of the World Cup circuit for enduro, but also down the track for downhill as well. So yeah, we'll see what 2025 brings. Look, we would have loved to have been there again in 2024, but as I say, with the way the industry is, I can see why they're being a little more conservative. Even though for a super fan like me, I want more rounds and I like them going as many places as possible.
Well, man, like even I was speaking to people in Derby, and they were just like the travel costs plus the diminishing industry stuff at the moment. It was blowing stuff out of the water. So it kind of made sense when it came up.
Yeah, like I said, it sucks, but it makes sense. And budgets are tight. I guess at the end of the day, we'd rather see that happen than lose a whole bunch of teams and athletes. So if that's what it takes this year, as long as we can build it back out again and, get some action down in Australia, then I get it.
Are you able to talk about the local series stuff you just mentioned, or?
Look, it's something we've been chipping away at for a little while. I don't really have a heap of news on it. We've been chatting to the organising bodies over in New Zealand for a little while. We've been super keen to get some UCI points rounds happening at Maydena, but I guess we sort of took a step back with a lot going on and thought, let's try and get that support across the ditch and get our friends in New Zealand involved as well. For the athletes over there, they've got similar struggles with a lack of points earning capability. And we just got so many great riders, particularly here in Tasmania. I know them better than anywhere, but across Australia, obviously, the gravity riders are killing it at the moment. And it's just so hard for them to crack into the World Cup that, we really want to try and play a role to help fix that if we can.
Well, I think that's why we saw so many small teams and stuff heading over this year.
I think I lost you a little bit there.
Yeah, it's all good. Maydena internet.
Dodgy internet.
Yep.
No, I'm actually back in Hobart, but it's patchy.
Yeah. I was just saying, like, that's why we saw so many teams head over from Australia this year, is to get around the UCI points thing. Is because we don't have any races.
Yeah, totally. And look, it's not. Yeah, that's it. I don't think it's going to get any easier. So, look, I think if we can do something across Oz and New Zealand, then that'd be amazing. And I know there's already a bunch of support over in New Zealand in principally. As I say, we're super early days. It's not going to be next year. But if we can look at doing something for the 24-25 season, then that'd be great.
Yeah, it'll be wild. Something needs to happen. Something definitely needs to change. As you say, we've got so many good riders.
Right?
Yeah. Even
exactly.
Your local lad, old mate, Lee Witz. He went pretty good over there this year too. He came out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, the boys have all had a good crack this year. So we had Lee over there, we had Bergen over there, and we had Will over there. They're all Maydena boys having a crack, and then obviously Sasha in the enduro, and Dan killed it in the elite enduro as well. So it was a pretty cool year for all those boys. We caught up with a bunch of them over there in Switzerland, which was great. So took the boys out for a feed and experienced a bit of their van life, which was cool. But they had a ball over there.
That was one of my highlights from the year was Dan Booker put up on his stories. He was showing like Bergen's van and stuff like that. And then he didn't mean to, but the next photo was his lodging, and it was like immaculate postcard views from this lodge. I was like, man, come on.
Oh, dude, that van was so sketchy. The boys are super proud of it. It was cool, but yeah, it was pretty cramped in there. Let's put it that way. Two boys in a pretty small, stinky van, but no, those guys killed it. It's great to see some of those crew getting over there and getting about overseas. It's awesome.
It's sick. So sick. Um, what else has been kind of happening on your schedule? Like, obviously, I was kind of reading between the lines when I saw you over in Europe and where you were heading and stuff. But it seems like there's a couple of big events that might possibly happen around your way, or will happen your way.
Yeah. So, yeah, as I said earlier, one of the main reasons we went over was to talk World Cup, but we were in discussions through that period with Red Bull to look at bringing Hardline down to Maydena. That's been something we've been working away at for several months now. And with us sort of heading over to Europe anyway, we just said to the Red Bull guys, we'll drop in. We wanted to go to Dovey Bike Park anyway, which is right near the venue for Hardline. So we dropped in there, had a good look at the course, and then, over the course of the last several weeks, we've been really, almost round the clock, kind of pulling that Hardline event together with the Red Bull crew. So yeah, we got that signed off a few weeks ago now, and it's just been madly trying to pull together the media announcement and the whole thing. So yeah, as you say, it's happening. It's on. It'll be there February 21 to 25. Not just Hardline. We're building it into Gravity Fest. We're kind of rebooting that whole event program. It's sort of nothing like the Gravity Fest of old, but just think, I guess, a whole week of gravity-focused mountain biking with Hardline kind of being the cherry on the top.
Why Hardline? Out of everything you could possibly do, why?
I mean, a whole range of things. For me, the big thing with Hardline is it's slopestyle and rampage are not that relatable to people. Like, you got all these mad flippy tricks and spins and things. And don't get me wrong, like, full respect to the freeride crew, it's amazing. But for a weekend warrior and a punter, like, that's not that relatable. Whereas something like Hardline, obviously launching off massive road gaps and jumps, not that relatable either. But people do kind of get it. It's much closer to, going on a normal mountain bike ride. So for us, I guess we love the event for that reason. We've got a massive hill, and some pretty wild terrain. So in terms of a place to put it, it was a pretty good option. The other thing for us is, because we own the whole lower part of the hill, we were one of the few places in the country you can build stupidly big things without running up against all sorts of planning hurdles and approvals hurdles. So I guess you could say the planet's kind of aligned on that one. We're pretty closely aligned with the way the Athertons do things in the UK in terms of being a pretty core sort of rider-focused bike park. So there was pretty good alignment across the board, really. And after discussions with Red Bull for a while, we made a commitment to work towards making it happen. And then, as I say, beyond that, it's been pulling together government support and working towards the launch. So Maydena is actually running the event ourselves. There's no third-party event management company, so that's a really cool one for us. Our crew are super active in the event world and really keen to do this one ourselves and really put a stamp on it.
What's, I guess, just going from step one to Hardline is the race itself is no easy feat. I guess, what is your starting point? Like, I want to do Hardline, and that's the idea, but how do you kind of start?
Yeah, I mean, first step for us, I suppose, was really to go over and have a look at Hardline in the UK because, as you know, it's all well and good to have a look at these things in a video, and we did a lot of that, but you've really got to look at it in the flesh to get an understanding of the scale and the severity of that kind of course. So we didn't make any commitments to anyone until we'd been over there and had a good look at it and met with some of Dan's team and Dan over there to have a really good look at the course. So in many ways, that was sort of the first big step for us. And we kind of took that leap ourselves and said, look, let's just get ourselves over there and have a good look at it. So once we'd seen it, I think we had a fair bit of comfort about where we could put it on the hill. So there's a huge design phase behind all of that. But I guess knowing the hill as well as we do at Maydena, we knew that we had the bits and pieces on the hill needed to make a course like that. So it's pretty wild, the scale of things, and they've got plans to dial things up even more. next year. So we were pretty mindful of that as well. And they also want to make the course a lot more technical. So we're pretty mindful of that in terms of where we want to put the course on the hill. So once we got that far, it was sort of working on the more technical aspect of, where's it actually going to sit on the hill, where we're going to put this thing, how long is it going to be, how much elevation do we want to use. We certainly don't use the whole elevation on the hill. It's just too big, but we use a pretty decent chunk of it. So working all of that out, working out with broadcast team about, how many cameras we need, what the budget of those cameras is, how long the course can be, where we want cameras, don't want cameras, how we work out getting all of those camera crew and cabling and everything up on the hill and, all the more technical stuff. And then kind of working out the broader event plan around the event village and how's this thing going to look and who's going to be involved in it and where we're going to park all these thousands of cars, where are people going to stay, how do we get people in and out of Maydena, all these kind of considerations. So we've been pretty focused on all of that at the moment, but really trying to support Red Bull with the main media launch, which, by the time you're listening to this, you would have seen it, hopefully, unless you're living under a rock. But there's been a lot of work with those guys in terms of planning out the big launch. So they're going out with both events, so confirming the dates for Hardline in the UK and locking in the Maydena event for next year as well. So it's not a series. It is just two separate Hardline events. There's no direct relationship between the two with points or anything like that. They're both just the two wildest downhill races in the world, basically.
Are Red Bull sponsoring it just so you have enough energy to get through all that, or?
Yeah, no, we've definitely had a few Red Bulls over the last few days with the crew. They love this kind of thing, and I guess they're such an incredible company to work with because, like I said to a few people, you don't often get an opportunity to do such silly things at the scale that we're doing them, because that stuff costs a lot of money and takes a lot of risk, and a lot of companies don't have the money and don't tolerate the risk. So it's pretty cool, the kind of areas that they push into. And, that's the kind of stuff we like really wanted to push the World Cup this year for enduro. And as I said, we really want to push it for downhill as well, if we can get that opportunity. So Hardline allows you to push it.
What was it like going and looking at those features, like hands-on, like live, looking at that drop over the road and the technical rock features at the Hardline course?
Yeah, look, pretty terrifying, to be honest.
Yeah.
that stuff is really exposed. I guess what you don't realize, a lot of people know the scale of it technically, in terms of that, that information is pretty readily available. You think, oh yeah, the drop's this big, the jump's this big. You can kind of conceive that in your head. But the thing with the Welsh course is it is just super exposed. It's really rugged, rough. Most of the course is out in the open. So you're kind of on these big craggy ridge lines, and it's pretty gnarly. We've found some nice exposed areas sort of towards the top of Maydena, but it is a totally different look and feel. And the discussions are, I guess, that we need to go quite a bit bigger with a lot of the features so that they are equally as gnarly or gnarlier than the stuff in the UK, because of the different terrain and the different feel. And we've also got scope to bring the riders into that last finish bowl a lot faster than they do in the UK.
Yeah.
So in terms of the size of jumps that we can get in, that they will be, believe it or not, quite a bit bigger than the stuff in the UK, which is, pretty cool. But no, it was awesome to go and see it, to be honest. As I said, we were definitely not going to make a commitment to anything until we'd actually have a good look.
You've obviously been over there and seen all the features and stuff, but what was it like speaking to the athletes and trying to work out what they want from Hardline?
Yeah, look, we didn't speak to any of them at the Hardline venue, so caught up with Dan and his crew and had a good chat to them. And then Dan's been over here recently this week, actually, with some of his team and chatting through that stuff on site here. But, over the course of the last little while, I've spoken to a whole bunch of people that have ridden Hardline, more in a kind of offline capacity. I mean, had a good chat to Jackson Goldstone about it when he was down. But I think the general consensus is a lot of those riders, they really love the event, something different. I guess there's a fairly common sentiment across the very top end of the downhill field that World Cups are getting a little bit too easy and doesn't really stretch the boundaries of the sport much. They'd love to see things get harder again in terms of the World Cup racing, and Hardline really gives them an opportunity to push the absolute boundaries. And I guess that was one of the things that was made really clear to us, that this event really has to push the boundaries, like to a point where it is almost impossible to ride. Otherwise, it's not what they really believe Hardline is. So talking to a lot of the riders, to be honest with you, there was quite a bit of feedback, I believe, this year, talking to Dan, that the riders want things to get quite a lot harder than they are in the UK at the moment, and bring a lot more technicality back into the course and go even bigger with the features. So if anything, like the pretty clear message was dial it up, as wild as you can, and get it to a point where the riders are scared to ride it again, because I think this year they felt that it was getting a little bit too easy. The sport had progressed quite a bit. So that was probably the most common feedback we got, to be honest. And same with Red Bull. They really want to push it, not to the point of being silly or unsafe, but making sure we're pushing it to a point that the riders are actually, right at the edge of their capability, as opposed to being comfortable on the course. And one of the ways it was put to me was like, none of these pro riders should be able to come to the venue and ride a top to bottom lap on day one. Like, it should take them a couple of days to piece the whole thing together. I think Jackson was one of the few that this year was doing relatively comfortable top to bottom runs. Most of them were sort of piecing it together over a number of days. So that's one of the key things. And a couple of the changes we made to the planned course to accommodate that and make it a little bit gnarlier with some bigger cliff drops and things.
Yeah. So you've already got the course there?
The course is being built. Yeah, we've been underway for a few weeks, mainly working down the bottom of the hill at the moment. So the bottom of the hill is where we're going to have most of the really, really big jumps. And then the top of the hill, and a big road gap, but kind of would be Hardline without a big road gap. But the top of the hill is kind of more technical, like multiple big cliff drops, gaps, like really wild roll-ins and things. It's terrain most people probably haven't seen a lot of at Maydena. We've kind of tried to avoid it with the main trails because it's so gnarly. But I think putting that into this course is going to be perfect. It's really scenic up there, and as I said earlier, quite exposed. So I think it really fits that Hardline bill.
Will it ever be open to public?
No, not a chance. It does sort of sit over the top of a couple of courses, so a couple of trails. It jumps over a few of them, and we will have to shut, I think, one trail at the top of the hill, short section. But no, in short, the whole course is pretty feature packed and pretty gnarly. Well, beyond pretty gnarly. I've never seen anything like it. So, yeah, definitely not open to the public. And the bottom jumps are all huge. The road gap's bigger than the one in Wales by quite a bit. So they're very, very big features.
Who's building it? Is it just you guys, or like who's in charge of the build? Is Red Bull here, or have you got crew coming over from Dovey?
No, look, we're building it. So I've designed it with input from a bunch of our guys, and then we've got quite a big crew on it in the next couple of weeks' time. So everyone's kind of rolling in at the moment. There's talk of a couple of the boys from Dovey coming over to give us a hand later in the year, but it's very much driven by us at the minute. Like, we've certainly had input from the guys in the UK around the elevation and their overall layout and things from the course, but really all that we've changed is just made the course longer, to be honest. So we've just pushed it up the hill a little bit further. We added about 80 metres of vertical. So we went from kind of just under, about 550 to just over 600. So I think we're at about 630 of vert at the minute, and we're trying to get the riders down, well under 4 minutes. So hopefully closer to about 3 minutes 30. So it's a lot of vertical to dispose of very quickly in a place like Maydena where it's pretty dense and crazy. It's not like the Welsh paddocks where, it's pretty open for a lot of that course.
Who do you get to test it? Like, who's going to head out there?
Yeah, that one's contentious internally. No, look,
surely
a bunch of
is
our
going
guys
to be out there and testing it for sure.
Yeah, no, look, we have a couple of our crew that are capable, and it's a matter of kind of working with them on processes that make it as safe as possible. So we're going to use some airbags and other things, and work with those boys to really make sure that we're doing it properly. But to be honest, I think a lot of the features they're quite a bit bigger than Wales, but they're built differently in that a lot of the Welsh stuff is quite hard to get speed for, whereas a lot of our stuff I think will be a lot more comfortable for speed, just the way it's laid out. So the plan in year one is to make it really big and then dial up the intensity in year two in terms of packing more things into the course. So one of the things they've done in Wales is everything's just jam-packed together. So you've got that huge step down to the on-off box into the two 86-foot jumps, and to be honest, like the frequency in there is so high, there's not really a lot of space to reset, particularly on the on-off box. If you stuff that thing up, you're in a world of trouble. And that's cool, that frequency and consequence, but we kind of wanted to go bigger and a bit safer with the course at our end and then dial up the intensity next year. So we're still playing around with that, but I think we'll pack things in a little bit tighter in year 2 and 3. And year 1 will just be bloody huge, and then we'll kind of make it more intense after that. But there's certainly plenty of commitment features. Like there's a number of big cliffs and things up the top where, you're jumping off a 8-9 meter high cliff, and you've got to send another cliff before that. And if you mess up the first one, you can't stop for the second one. Like it's intense, like really, really intense. But probably a smidgen safer than Wales.
Yeah,
but yeah, still pretty wild.
That's a good way to go about it, though. Kind of build up and see what happens and then go from there.
Well, they've had 9 years, right? So this year obviously didn't run with weather, but next year's year 10, same venue. They've obviously made a bunch of changes, but as we've said to them, this is year 1 for us. Like we've got to build upon what they've done and make sure it starts, in keeping with that Hardline brand. It's got to be crazy, but we also need some time to dial it in. And, we're really comfortable with the layout at the moment and where the features are and how big they are.
Yep.
But, we can always make it harder in the future. But like I said, we're already quite a bit bigger than all their key features. So we're comfortable to sort of leave it at that for now. There was talk of going bigger again, but I think it's already well beyond, anything most people have ever ridden. So we're talking maybe well over 110-foot doubles, like a nearly 10-meter high road gap. Like it's massive, massive stuff.
Sick. So keen to get down there for it. It's going to be wild.
It'd be cool.
Yeah. Is it going to be, obviously it's a public event, people can come down and watch it, or is it? Yeah.
Yeah, so public event, it is ticketed. To be honest with you, it's mostly ticketed. It's a super low-cost ticket. We're still finalising the pricing, but the ticketing is really there to lock in people and make sure we know numbers for the event.
Yeah.
Because it will be capped. Like we're going to try and get 5,000 into the venue this year, but the general feeling is that'll sell out relatively quickly. So we will push beyond that in the future years, but we don't want to ruin the event in year 1 by having too many people there without a plan to accommodate them. So the ticketing is really there just to, allow us to plan the event basically. And then we've got a whole range of different pass options. So there's VIP passes, there's like a super pass for the whole festival where you can race everything and then get your spectating for Hardline included. 1-day passes, 2-day passes. We're looking to run a seating round for Hardline this year, which is a little different to the UK. So there will be like a second day of racing a day prior, which is kind of cool. So that just allows us to test the course in a race format, test the timing, test the broadcast. So that makes it a little different to the UK. But we're doing like a world level downhill race event, rebuilding the Natty for that. So it'll be a big downhill race a couple of days before Hardline, and a big free ride jump jam on a new kind of big bike jump course that we're building. So we're really trying to get people down for a whole week if we can, come and hang out. And the pros start practicing early in the week. So there's a whole heap of stuff going on. And obviously it's only a couple of days post Cannonball. So we're already talking to, a whole bunch of teams that are doing Cannonball and then coming across to us, which works out really well for them timing-wise. So we're hoping we get a whole bunch of World Cup athletes, even the crew that are not doing Hardline that, are here anyway but just want to come and race downhill and hang out.
Yeah, that'll be sick.
Yeah,
you're going to need a second coffee machine.
Yeah, we're going to need a lot. Yeah. No, we're working with a few different food vans and other providers, obviously. We've got a plan. We've got to separate out all the catering for athletes and staff. And obviously, like with the live broadcast, there's an absolute shitload of people just running the broadcast. So we've got to accommodate all of that and feed them and keep them happy. And obviously keep the athletes happy and entertained when they're not riding on the course. So, yeah, there's a whole piece around that. But Reece and the crew that's their expertise at the end of the day. And obviously, it's a little different to what we normally do at an event. But the cool thing is we've got quite a bit, really good support from the government for the event financially, and really good support from Red Bull. So that allows us to dial up the stuff we can do. So, bands and DJs and parties, and, the event will look and feel like a proper, legit, world level mountain bike festival this year. So big screens and live broadcast in the works. So, yeah, pretty exciting for us. We tend to do things pretty scrappily. Like, we run a great event, but at the end of the day, we don't often have much of a budget to work with. So it's definitely pretty exciting to work with a team that, their main goal is to provide the best event possible for both the athletes and the spectators. So it gives us lots of scope to do some really cool stuff this year.
Yeah, it sounds so sick. Perfect place to transition into something. But in my eyes, you guys are not only like you're not just the best place to ride because you've got amazing mountains and you got that amazing scenery and you got the crew there, but you also hold some of the biggest events in Australia and the best events. You've got the Mountain Bike Forum on very soon. Is this what's that about? And is it kind of to share your experiences with all that, or what is that about essentially?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we've hosted it before. We did it once, not long after we opened, and then COVID hit, and we decided, obviously, it wasn't worth worrying about over that period. But I guess it first came about when Bulla wound down their conference, to be honest. I mean, they ran a pretty big mountain bike conference for a while. Once they decided not to do that anymore, we felt there was a big hole in the industry. For us, it's more about kind of networking, education, collaboration than it is anything else. So we certainly don't make any money out of the conference. It's a lot of hard work. It's really more about trying to get the industry together. And as you know, there's so many people now working in government and private sectors developing big mountain bike destinations, and a lot of them don't have that much experience in that space because it's quite a new world for a lot of people. So it's really helping them figure it out, I suppose, and getting those people together, sharing our experience, getting a bunch of other people to come down and share what they've learnt over the years. So we go pretty hard with the speakers we bring online. So we've got Mark Hayes coming over from Island Bike Park over in the US. We've had the Bike Park Wales guys come over at the conference prior. We've got people coming over from Bike Glendoo in New Zealand who run an awesome little, mostly pedal access bike park there, but they're doing a little bit of shuttling now. We've got a bunch of event crew. We've got Josh Carlson coming over to chat about the whole kind of event space and his time with ESO and things.
He'll take 3 days just for himself.
Yeah, talk the leg off a chair. We've got the Flow Boys coming in to talk about mountain bike marketing and destination stuff. And a whole bunch of really amazing women coming down to talk about the whole female women's landscape in mountain biking. And we've got Grant Allen coming down to talk about adaptive. He's obviously really pushing the limits in that space. So, yeah, it's a super exciting event. As I say, for us, it's pretty small. Like, we don't get a ton of people down for it. It's probably 50 or 60 people coming down, but it's actually the number we want. Like, it's a really nice number that you can actually get around everyone and have a good chat. And it's a really kind of low-key, more personalised thing than a 500-person conference where you just kind of get swallowed up by the crowd.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how it goes this year. We're pretty excited. There's only a few tickets left. Like I say, it's not a big thing, and we won't do it every year. We'll probably do it every couple of years. But the feedback we've had for the program this year has been really good. So we're keen, very keen.
It's a good way to get everyone on the same. Well, try and bring people up to better levels when they're not quite hitting it, or it's going to give you learning experience as well, right? But It's
Yeah,
kind
look,
of
totally.
no. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, look, it's one of those things, and there's so many pressing issues with mountain bike destination management in the country at the moment. Like, how the hell do they pay for maintenance? How do they
Mm.
work out what to do with shuttle providers? Like, what do they do with commercial partnerships? How do we manage events? Like, a lot of these councils are just trying to figure this stuff out. So
Mm.
for us, it's a matter of like, let's share what we've learned. Let's bring in a whole bunch of people that are doing it lots of different ways. There's no right way to do any of this stuff. It's like, let's all learn from each other, basically. So we've really tried to pull together the people that are pushing the boundaries a little bit, doing things a little bit differently, people that have done it for a while, people that have changed tack. We've got the crew from Mystic in Victoria coming over to chat about how they've done things, which is a bit different again. So at the end of the day, it's a really diverse group of people, but I think the shared knowledge that they bring is just massive. So it's a great opportunity for those groups. A crew like in Warburton or up in Toowoomba, they're doing a big trail destination. Like, a lot of those guys are coming down to just get involved, I suppose, and learn and chat and hang out with people that have done it before in so many different ways. That's I don't know. For me, I think it's an important thing for the country, because we're seeing so much going on that everyone needs to kind of get together and nut some of this stuff out. There's no point trying to do it alone. So it's not really a kind of, hey, come down and we'll tell you how to do everything. It's more like a come down and just listen to a whole bunch of different people and, have a chat and collaborate, work together and learn at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like the sport grew so much in the last 2 years with a lot of new people and a lot of new destinations. And as you said, governments wanted to get on board with that trend, because obviously it brings in money. But it seems like it was very hard for the trail centres and the councils to even fully understand what was happening.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And look, a lot of the trouble has been, it's getting better now, but a lot of the trouble has been, they'll build this massive trail destination. They get multi-million-dollar funding from government. It all looks great, and it is great. And then they open it and they go, oh, shit, like, it's costing us a lot of money to keep this place maintained. And there's all these issues around medical and safety, and we didn't think any of this was going to be a problem. And now all of a sudden, all these things are causing us issues. So we're certainly getting a lot more interest from destinations where we're doing full management plans and fun. And that's, I think people can share their expertise better.
100%. The management plans and stuff would be sick, especially from you guys. I'm guessing like Timmy Windshuttle might be coming down as well, and the crew from Threadbow, like the two.
Yeah,
places.
that's it. And those guys have been doing it for years, and we certainly learnt a lot from Threadbow as well. So at the end of the day, it's just a matter of everyone kind of trying to work together.
Biggest thing I learned from Threadbow is that after party should definitely have windows. Hey.
Oh man, that was so hot there this year. I thought I was going to die. And it took too long to get a drink.
Yes, yeah. Congratulations.
Sorry, Timmy.
We nearly had a full podcast session just while we're in line to get a drink.
Yeah, it was wild, but no, it was rad that so many people were there. It was super cool.
It's a rad event.
Yeah, and look, those guys know how to run an event. Yeah, Threadbow kill it with events. It's awesome what those boys do.
Do you think there's a reason why there's not many other places holding events like you guys and Threadbow do? I mean, Cairns has Crankworks, but...
Yeah. Look, it's bloody hard work, to be honest with you. It's not easy. It takes a massive commitment, both financially, time and expertise, I suppose, at the end of the day. But the other side of it is government support. I don't know what, if anything, Threadbow gets in terms of support. I know in the past they didn't really get much, but for us, I mean, we can't host events like World Cup and Hardline without that government support. It's just not possible. So, I mean, we rely on that heavily, and then we make sure that we deliver a really strong result to the region and the state around marketing and visitation and everything else. So it's super good value for governments in terms of the return on investment, but you've still got to, prove that And, we're getting some funding support this year for Enduro Jam for the first time, which is awesome. So that means we can step up that event program more. But it's a heavy lift, and events are just really, really hard work, to be honest. And I think that's probably one of the reasons we don't see more of them. There's stuff like the Vic Downhill Series. Those guys and girls are killing it with that. They get great numbers. So, yeah, there's definitely stuff happening. And downhill is really alive and well. There just needs to be a bit more of it. And we've been itching to bring our Gravity Fest program back for a while. We just couldn't wrap our heads around the best way to do it.
Yeah.
So once the Hardline thing came online, we thought, I think this is it. We can, build this into something that's a bit different. Like, you go to Crankworks and it's awesome, but there's not that much riding or racing participation. No. If you're a punter, you're kind of there to spectate or just go pedal around. And Cannonball's different, but there's not the spectating elements not really there. You can go watch the Cannonball race, and that's amazing, but it is a downhill race, and it's not that different to a normal downhill race. And that's nothing against that race. It's epic and it's pretty full on course, but you go to slopestyle in Cairns and it's amazing. It's a real spectacle, and that's what we want to make out of that Hardline event, but also have that participation right throughout the week. So we're working with our partners at SRAM and other folks like GoPro, where we want to do like a lot of educational events throughout the week as well. Like, come down and you can learn a whole bunch of stuff about product and suspension and how to shoot cool stuff on your GoPro, and then join us for bands and DJs and the whole thing. So we want that, but also the ability to race your bike. It's hard. Like I said, a lot of those big events, you're not going there and putting a race plate on for most people. Like not Cannonball. The Crankwork stuff, the numbers are capped so hard anyway. But even if you want to go and race downhill, it's such a small field. Exactly. So the downhill race for us, we really want to grow that out, make it a big part of the program, eventually get UCI points on it so that it can be, a pathway for people to help get themselves into the World Cup. But that was one of the big things for us, is really just try and make it an event for the people. So, you can ride, you can spectate, you can get involved to whatever degree you want to get involved, and, strap a race plate on if you want to strap a race plate on. We've got a bunch of kids racing as well on the Sunday, which is a bit different. So, going down, no age restrictions. They can go as young as they want. And we've got a bunch of easier up to harder courses. So giving the kids a good go at things too.
Speaking of other events and what's going on, you got two of the biggest events coming up for the year. You've got Enduro Jam, which is pretty big, and then one of the biggest events in Australia, which is you and Reece doing the 24 hours of descending.
Oh man, that thing's terrifying.
I was lucky enough to go to Enduro Jam last year. How did you guys come up with such a good chill event, aka I think some of us were calling it the industry Christmas party at one stage, because it was just people riding and having fun.
That was kind of the point. Yeah, I think, I can't even remember. I think Reece and I came up with the actual event concept together, and then Reece came up with the name. So the Enduro Jam name was all him on that one, and it's a great name. But yeah, I guess for us, we're pretty unique in the way we've got a trail network with just so many trails. So the park's got 100 trails now and still growing. And they're all so diverse that, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around it sometimes about what's best for an enduro race. And even the Enduro World Cup, we had such a hard time putting the course together because we had to miss so many epic trails, because we just can't fit it all in. But for Enduro Jam, like you say, we really just wanted to make it fun and low key, and something that the pros can get involved and race as seriously as they want. And we've got a couple of global pro teams coming down this year, which is really cool.
Oh, really?
So they're bringing another step up for us, which is really cool. But yeah, we wanted something that those guys and girls can come and race and, take it as seriously as they want. But you can also just go and race for fun. You can do 10 laps a day or 1 lap a day. You can kind of do whatever you want. And, it's just a fun day out on the hill. Like, everyone's chatting and there's no pedaling liaison. So you're all on the shuttle. Like, the whole idea was just build a really cool event vibe. And then, as I said earlier, for us, with a bit of funding from the government this year, we can build out the event program more in terms of the look and feel of the event village and bands and DJs, and make it even more of a party this year round, which is super exciting. but yeah, we're really bullish on that event. We want to grow it out. The numbers are already looking great for this year, so it's probably going to be almost double last year in terms of participation by the looks of things, which will be really fun. We've changed the program, so we've split the Open and the Pro Jam across the day. So even though there's twice as many people, there'll be twice as many uplifts, or actually more than twice as many uplifts. So we're kind of ready for the onslaught, I think, but we'll see. But that'll be a hopefully permanent fixture for us. We're really big on that event, and so are all our partners that we work with on it.
Sick. Yeah, it's so good. Such a fun, chill weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, and look, that's what we wanted. There's a lot of serious racing around the country. You can go and race national series, national champs. That's all about, just taking, for most people, pretty seriously. But the cool thing with Enduro Jam is you can, if you want to race your mate, you can, or if you just want to come and hang out and ride your bike, then equally you can just come and hang out and ride your bike. So it's a really good program for that. I think the course mixture we've got between the Sample Jam, the Open Jam, and the Pro Jam is really good. Now we can dial up the Pro Jam a little bit more because the Sample Jam, the Open Jam's got their own separate course. So we can kind of shuffle things around a little bit with that, which works really well too. So yeah, we're really excited for this year. I think a couple of changes to the program will be really good.
It's definitely not like the 24 hours of descending that you guys are getting ready for.
No, that's a little less enjoyable.
How keen? This is your third time though, right?
Yeah, this is number 3. Last year we did 27 laps in 24 hours. The goal, we had all kinds of wild ideas. We were going to push it out to 36 hours, but I managed to pull Reece back on that one. That was something he was kind of gunning for. But we're going to stick with 24. We're going to go for over 30 laps, which, to be honest, we could have got last year. We didn't stop, but we had a couple of laps where we kind of mucked around a little bit.
Yeah.
For us, like through the middle of the night, we were doing pretty constant hot laps, and we were kind of had a couple of different courses on rotation, but none of them were easy. I mean, we were doing like Express Lane, Pamela, jump trails. We were riding the Nunnery, Tinder. Like, for those of you that know those trails, they're not super straightforward, and doing a bunch of jump trails as well. So under lights, that stuff's pretty wild. And it was kind of trying to strike a balance between, do we muck around on the slower stuff and waste time when we want to do bulk laps? And also it takes longer to get down the hill, so your body's arguably getting more beat up. True. Or do we just cut to the chase and just punch down the hill as quickly as possible? So no, that's what we did. And yeah, we got 27. I think we should comfortably get 30 this year. You kind of get to it. Well, for me anyway, last year I got to about 10 or 12. And then the old body started really having a hard time. But, you kind of push through it. And by the time I got to sort of 20 laps, wasn't feeling too bad. It's probably about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I forget what lap number we were on by then. But
yeah,
you're getting a bit delirious, and you just need that bloody sun to come up.
Yeah, it resets you, hey? Like I was talking to Ben Hildred about it, and it just kind of kicks in.
Yeah. You're a bit over it back in the lap, cracking the shits with it by then, to be honest.
Yeah.
I still got you there. Yeah. I think we're right. Internet's glitching. Yeah, so that was the hard part for me, to be honest with you. Like between 3 a.m. and sun coming up, once the sun comes up, you're kind of like, oh, thank God. now we can just kind of settle into the day and get through it. But yeah, we introduced the 12-hour program for punters to get involved last year, which is a different thing. And that we had a handful of teams, but they all loved it. They came in and they got to hang out with us for the day, doing laps, and then finish with us at the end of it. So they all kind of pushed their own boundaries on that one, which was really nice. So we really want to try and grow that participation side to that event. And as you know, and some others would know, that event is all for charity. So we raise money for one of our good mates, Tim Blair, who's got a kids' cancer charity. And one of the things we really like is they've got no admin fees, no board fees, no wages. Like, they're all volunteers. So every dollar we raise for them goes straight back to helping kids with cancer and their families. So it's a super good cause, about as good as it gets, and I'm happy to put my body on the line for it over that 24 hours. I think I was laughing with Reece last night. He crashed. I think he's crashed twice pretty heavily. I'm yet to crash, touch wood. So I'm hanging in there.
Are you doing it on the tall boy?
No. Look, I'll do a lap or two for sure. I love that bike. It honestly, it's so fun. Way more capable than you'd expect. But I did most of it last time on the Mega Tower. I rode the Mega Tower until I went through a fresh set of pads, basically. And then I just couldn't be bothered swapping them out. I didn't want to waste time. So I jumped on the downhill bike after that.
Sick.
I think I might have done a lap on my Forbidden Druid, like right at the start of it, actually, just for the hell of it. But then I nearly folded a wheel on that thing, so I put it away.
Yeah.
But the Mega Tower's great. That's what you want. Downhill bike's nice, but kind of heavy to pedal around in between bits and bobs, and you just get a bit tired. It's kind of nice right at the end where you just want to sit down and get down the hill without dying, basically.
Yeah.
So I think I did the last 2 or 3 laps, but I want to try and get the Mega Tower all the way through this time. So I might just have a pair of pads sitting there at the finish line so we can quickly switch them out. But yeah, even in the dry, I went through a fresh set over the course of that. I was probably 18 hours in, maybe, where I was down to the pad backing. So you go through it.
I can never get around like how much Maydena kills pads. It's just the one thing that always blows my mind.
Yeah, I guess a lot of heavy braking. It depends what you ride. I mean, we were riding King Brown, stuff that is like King Brown in particular is just really heavy braking. So you're getting the most wild arm pump. That's one of the biggest issues, to be honest, like just trying to hang on and get your arms to a point. Like we had a Theragun down the bottom, just blasting out the forearms at the end of each run quickly. Brought that in the bus overnight, just punching the arms out with that thing. But yeah, forearms was the worst. And then your legs start to give out after a while too, to be honest, like just holding yourself up through all the rough stuff. But the bike was absolutely flawless. Did not have one single issue other than wearing out a pair of pads. So can't complain with that. But no, I won't subject the tall boy to a full 24 hours. As much as I'm sure it would take it. It's a bit of a rough ride for what's ultimately a cross-country bike.
I think Loris Vergier is experimenting with taping or clipping his hands to the bars at the moment to get rid of arm pumps. So maybe you could try some duct tape, man, and tape them on there for 24 hours.
Yeah, we could. To be honest, one of the things I did this last year was I wore gloves. So I don't really wear gloves. Year one, my hands just got roached and I got such bad arm pump. But by wearing gloves, those you wear them on and off, you kind of realize you can hold the grips a lot lighter. You're not, clutching the grip super tight. You can kind of ease off a bit. So between that and the grips are pretty good. Like I run a soft set of DMR Death grips. They're great. But yeah, without the gloves, I was just getting punished. So I chucked the old gloves back on this year and we were good to go. So wore them the whole way through in the end, I think. That made a big difference. But I don't think I'll strap the hands on. It's kind of terrifying, to be honest. No. Like, I had a couple of moments where I hit trees and things. I was going down, we're riding thrash horse in the middle of the night, which is kind of dumb. But yeah, hit one of the big gaps on thrash horse and punched a tree as I was taking off and just... Oh, yeah, got well and truly wild, but somehow pulled it back in.
That's so rad. I was going to ask what's in the pipeline for the rest of Maydena, but I don't think you got much time existing to change anything else.
We've still got stuff going on. There's a new blue jump trail going in. So that'll be kind of like crank it up vibe at Whistler, just big lazy blue jump trails. Bunch of other stuff, like we're doing major overhauls of most of the main flow trails over the last little while and all that's sort of ongoing. But the Blue Jump Trail is kind of one of the big projects for this year. We've got a massive new climbing trail going in. So it'll go all the way up to midline. So there'll be 2 climbing trails, one kind of cruisy, meandering climbing trail and one that's a bit more direct for e-bikes and XC bandits. So that one kind of goes to a nice waterfall and it's just a really cool zone. So that stuff will be in sort of around Christmas is the plan. The Hardline deal is 3 years for us. So that's sort of obviously a big priority, but that'll kind of take a bit of time over the next few years. And then, as I said, we're already working on hopefully trying to get the World Cup back in 2025. See what happens with Enduro. It's been a bit of a funny year and, as you said, a funny calendar for Enduro. But yeah, we've had those discussions and I think we'll keep having those discussions and hopefully work towards a downhill as well. But yeah, that's probably the main focus for now, to be honest. And then just dialing in the operations and making sure we can keep everyone happy when they come down.
Yeah. It's pretty, I don't think I've ever seen anyone leave there unhappy. So
we really don't get many, to be honest. I can't even remember the last one that's been really unhappy across tens of thousands of people. So, people are weird. Sometimes they get unhappy about funny things, but anyone who's been genuinely unhappy, they're pretty few and far between.
There's too many trails. There's too much descending. The vibes are too good. It's pretty.
It's a fun spot. Yeah, it's definitely a fun spot.
If you could just get the government to control the weather there a bit better and have no rain.
We're working on it. I think, we've got about 60 mil of rain over this weekend, unfortunately. So it's a bit of a washout. But yeah, before that, it was 26, I think, out there the other day for the middle of the week, which was lovely. But then the weekend came and it turned to shit. But, we're in that kind of better place now, in terms of the season. So things only kind of get better from here. So once we kind of roll through November, we should start seeing far more nice days than shitty days, really. And then hopefully Enduro Jam and Hardline both get our very best weather like the World Cup did.
That reminds me, is 2023 the first year you've gone through without a natural disaster or a pandemic coming through?
Yeah, if you count the multi-years that COVID screwed us, then it is.
Yeah.
We had record-breaking floods in year 1, had the bushfire in year 2, COVID in year 3 and 4, and then year 5 this year was pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
But then we got the whole cost of living and people not travelling as much thing. So our numbers were still higher, way, way higher than they were the previous year, but a lot more locals coming and a few less interstaters, I think, with budgets being a little bit tighter. But we'll see how that looks over this year. Hopefully, if interest rates chill the hell out for a little bit, people might be out and about travelling again.
100%. Easy, man. Well, I think that's covered anything. Is there anything else you wanted to chat about?
No, I don't think so. If everyone sort of checks out all that Hardline program when they get a chance, and hopefully there's something in there for everyone to come and get involved. I guess particularly those in Tassie that are down here anyway. You genuinely don't want to miss it. The course there is mind-blowing in how ridiculous it is. And to see all those top athletes come down and do that is, as you know, a very rare opportunity. So hopefully people take that opportunity. For us, we just want to cram that venue full of people and make it the best week possible for them.
Sick. So good. Easy, man. Well, I better let you get on with your day and your weekend. So thanks so much for coming on and chatting all about this. It's been super insightful, and hopefully I'll be down there in February.
Yeah, let's make sure we get you down there.
Yeah, definitely. Easy, mate. We'll take it easy.
Thanks, mate. All
Thank
the best.
you. Speak soon. Bye.
Easy.
There we go, guys. I hope you enjoyed that potty with Frenchie. Super excited for the events that are happening down there over the next few months. It'll be hectic, and I hope I can get to at least one of them. As usual, thanks to our supporters, Trek Bikes, Franked Mountain Bike Apparel, Shred Bike Care, Fist Handwear, Taylor Trails, Lead Out Sports, Dirt Surfers, Capped Out Caps, and Oakley. Absolutely love to support these guys. Give us, if you want to support them and let them know you went over there from the potty, hit up their web stores, use Beyond the Tape or Beyond the Tape 10, get yourself a bit of a discount at some of them. If you don't want to drop any money on some fresh rad gear, then support the podcast by telling your mum, telling your mates, telling your dog, telling whoever. And yeah, spread the word, leave some reviews on whatever platform you listen to this on. And yeah, that's about it. Anyway, until next one, just go out and have a bunch of fun.